What's this? A pro Zack Polanski video I'm seeing.
So Zack Polanski went on BBC Radio 4 with Justin Webb, and it was, I would say, a hit piece, right? Not against Zack Polanski, but Muslim members of the Green Party. But the way Zack handled this is perfection, and I wanted to highlight this because this is what people on the left should be doing. They should be showing media and pundits, especially the BBC, with huge contempt. Now, the video is 2 minutes and 20 seconds long, so I'm going to break it down into different parts because it's too long to show. And I'm going to show you bits, and then we're going to review it. So this is the first part.
I don't know. I don't know if Israel will fuck up the negotiations. I feel like if they do that, they're going to look so bad. I think a lot of what spurred this on, and I've heard other people say this, so I'm kind of stealing this analysis. It feels like a lot of what has spurred this on is the whole UN thing. Not just the UN ruling it a genocide, but, saying there's probable cause for a genocide. But the Benjamin Netanyahu having everyone walk out in the middle of his little speech. It's just like your country is just like totally raped reputationally. Everyone fucking hates you.
A Jewish man, I am very upset and I'm very bothered about what's happening in Palestine.
Yes, but surely you can be. But isn't the point though? You can be bothered and upset about what's happening in the Middle East, and lots of people are, and regard the killing in Gaza as awful. But what you have in your party is people who have, on several occasions, and Abdul Malik isn't the only one, and nor is Mohsen Ali, the deputy leader, who have on several occasions appeared to suggest that it is not legitimate to be a Jew, and that Israel itself as a state is not legitimate. And the point that people are making, we heard from Robert Jenrick earlier.
Very logical jump there. I don't think anyone said that. I think the questions you should be asking me.
No, thank you. I'll decide.
Why is this country still sharing intelligence with Israel? Why are we enabling a genocide that the UN scholars are calling a genocide?
First of all, what a massive prick Justin is. He's making some accusations here. Apparently, Mohsen Ali, another Muslim member, said it's not legitimate to be Jewish. I mean, I've not seen anyone say that, and Zack pushes back on that. This is an entire media circus. Now, of course, this comes from the horrific anti-Semitic attack on Thursday. We should never downplay that. It's
what did they say?
Truly disgusting. And of course, the entire media have
like that's sus. Like, why are you not saying what they said?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Can we start by talking about Manchester, though? Because not only do you know Manchester, obviously, you're from there, you also know this synagogue, don't you?
Yes, I'm from the Jewish community, and I grew up attending a synagogue that's fairly close to this one. So I'm feeling this both on a political level and a personal level. I'm also one of 5 Jewish people in British political history to be leaders of a party in the last 100 years. So I take anti-Semitism really seriously. I also recognise in the same breath that Islamophobia is on the rise, LGBT hate crime is on the rise. All of these hate crimes are ultimately about minority communities. And we do our best work when it's interfaith, when it's about solidarity, and when we look to bring together community cohesion.
You have a deputy leader, Mohsen Ali, who said after October the 7th, people supported the right of indigenous people to fight back, as he put it. And he said of the Israelis, they're not victims, they're occupiers, colonialists, European colonialists. He did apologise later for saying that, but he's also targeted a Leeds-based rabbi. Is he the right person to be a deputy leader of a British political party?
I think the key words are there, that he's apologised, and he stands by that apology.
Really, is that all it takes?
Well, I want to be clear that I'm a Jewish person and I feel this genocide incredibly deeply. As a Muslim man, I can only imagine what it feels like to know that every single day in Palestine, the equivalent of a classroom of children are dying.
Does that excuse those views, though?
It doesn't excuse it, but I think it's contextual. This rabbi went off to fight for the IDF. He was actively recruiting for people to engage in a genocide. And now why I wouldn't have used the language.
No, hang on a second. He went to
defend his right to be annoyed and upset about what is happening in Palestine.
Let me just explain who the rabbi was. The rabbi, Zachariah Deutsch, was an Israeli citizen. He's called up as a reservist for a tour of duty with the IDF. We don't know where. But also, his young family had to move out of their homes because of things that the deputy leader, the now deputy leader of the Greens, said. They had to move out of their homes. You're saying there is a context to that that somehow explains it, are you?
I think there is a context to this. I think if someone goes to fight with an army who's committing a genocide, that there are consequences. Now, I don't stand by what Mothin said, and neither does he. But ultimately, I do think we need to have
this
a
guy
context
is
on this.
terrible in interviews. Bro, people actually rate this guy. People think this guy's, like, good at this. He's like, this is so terribly handled. And why is this fucking idiot in your party anyway? Like, it's fine to say this shit as, like, some fucking political commentator on the internet, you know? It's fine for Sneeko to say this shit. It's fine for Hassan to say this shit. You look fucking retarded as an elected official. Or someone wants to be an elected official or whatever. Going on about fucking... Oh, I support the rights of indigenous peoples to fight back. Okay. Okay, dude.
I also think more widely, I want people to know that the Green Party at this conference is focusing on the Middle East, but we also want to bring people's bills down. We want to defend the National Health Service.
Well, sure, yeah, but you have focused a lot. I'll get to that in a second, but you have focused a lot. For instance, you've got another councillor in Bristol, Abdul Malik, who shared a video of a Hamas press conference in which Israel was referred to as an animal state. Again, a member in good standing of your party who says that, given all that has been said this morning about the context of the attacks yesterday?
Again, I don't know about this specific instance, but what I will say is, as a Jewish man, I am very upset and I'm very bothered about what's happening in Palestine.
Yes, but surely you can be, but isn't the point though, you can be bothered and upset about what's happening in the Middle East, and lots of people are, and regard the killing in Gaza as awful. But what you have in your party is people who have, on several occasions, and Abdul Malik isn't the only one, and nor is Mothin Ali, the deputy leader, who have on several occasions appeared to suggest that it is not legitimate to be a Jew, and that Israel itself as a state is not legitimate. And the point that people are making, we heard from Robert Jenrick earlier.
Very logical jump there. I don't think anyone said that. I think the questions you should be asking me.
No, thank you. I'll decide.
Why is this country still sharing intelligence with Israel? Why are we enabling a genocide that the UN scholars are calling a genocide? I think this is a real conversation.
Yeah, it's good of you. Well, it's all right. You can ask the questions you like, but perhaps later. For the time being, let me ask the question. The question that is being asked this morning by the Chief Rabbi, by Robert Jenrick, by a lot of people, and including, we're going to hear from the Home Secretary after 8:10, is whether British political parties and people in positions of responsibility should be saying plainly and clearly that views like that Israel is an animal state, are simply unacceptable. And if you pass those views on, you cannot take part in civilized society. And what you seem to be saying to me is, no, you don't agree with that.
Well, I think you're again conflating things there. Those are totally unacceptable words, and I've been really, really clear about that. I'm also saying that we need to have a nuanced conversation about what is a genocide and talk about what's actually happening as opposed to the words that people...
Wow, you sound retarded. You sound retarded right now. What a terrible showing. What an absolutely fucking terrible showing. Really, you can't just say it's bad? You don't just say it's bad and move on? You're going to look fucking stupid to any normie here.
Responsibility.
This guy sucks.
For the language we use, the way we communicate, absolutely, and myself included.
But what is the responsibility that these people have taken then? They just apologise. Is that taking responsibility?
I think an apology is a responsibility. I also think the very obvious thing in this conversation is Mothin is a Muslim
No,
man.
you do, and you're insanely out of touch if you don't think this looks retarded and insane to literally every normie. Anyone's going to be like, even if they think Israel's doing bad stuff, the idea that you're saying that you've got someone in your party who is saying that October 7th is an act of resistance by indigenous people just fighting back, and that Israel's an animal state, that looks insane to normies. And if you can't cleanly condemn it, you're gonna look fucking terrible. If you sit there going, you look retarded.
Islamophobia is also on the right.
Who cares? Like, yeah, so thank you for telling us all that you're incredibly out of touch, Spending Marrow. You should, if you're drawing conclusions, you should keep in mind that you now know you don't understand how the average person thinks. Because you're saying, who cares that someone called Israel is an animal? Who cares that someone called Israel is an animal state? So you can't even type properly. I don't even know what you're really trying to say here. But that Any normal person is going to be like, oh, that sounds insane. Any normie. I sent to you, when you watch a bad empanada video or whatever, you might hear something like that and you're like, wow, that's funny, that's awesome. That doesn't play well in elections.
He also defends people's right to pray and their faith. He put out a statement yesterday about the anti-Semitic attack that I found emotional, I found moving, and connected with me as a Jewish man. I think all of these things can be true at the same time.
That's B tier.
The base is journalism to try and move it to the most basic context.
You called yesterday for Mark Rowley, the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, to resign for things that had happened at Charing Cross Station. Horrible things that people have said and possibly done. You call for him to resign, but you're not calling for Muffin Ali to resign.
Well, Mark Rowley said that the Metropolitan Police weren't institutionally racist and misogynistic at the same time as there was hidden camera footage of people being misogynistic and racist. I think it's quite obvious why the Met Commissioner needs to resign.
Wow. This guy's so retarded. And, of course, comments are ripping the fuck out of him.
Spoken about the rise of anti-Semitism, once again true, but at the same time, we've normalized Islamophobia, right? And no one really wants to talk about that. Also, the entire media and right-wing pundits have conflated
Ed Davies
Jewish
just not
people
good
with
TV.
Israel. Now, what's really useful here is Zack Polanski is Jewish. And when you're not Jewish and on the left and you're trying to say that actually conflation between Israel and Jewish people is anti-Semitic, a lot of people in the media will shut you down and accuse you of anti-Semitism. Zack has that shield. He can say, look, I'm a Jewish person. I'm also anti-Zionist. So
that's true.
It is incredibly useful.
Very useful
it's
shield.
Kind of unfair, though. Like, he shouldn't have to use his identity as a shield, but that's the tricks and the games the mainstream media play. So what he's doing here is fantastic. He's reframing this discussion, which Justin's trying to speak about certain comments from certain members. To me, it's kind of like the Jeremy Corbyn smear campaign again, which is like, we must hold you accountable for every single comment from a member. And Zack is reframing it in terms of...
They do this to every politician. Okay.
There's a literal genocide going on. And
wow,
I thought it was fantastic. But
we're responding to every question with, there's a genocide going on. That really plays well. That's really smart and makes you look really good at politics.
We're going to play the second clip.
I think this is a real conversation.
Yeah, it's good of you.
Right.
Well, it's all right. You can ask the questions you like, but perhaps later. Well, for the time being, let me ask the question. The question that is being asked this morning by the Chief Rabbi, by Robert Jenrick, by a lot of people, and including, we're going to hear from the Home Secretary after 8:10, is whether British political parties and people in positions of responsibility should be saying plainly and clearly that views like that Israel is an animal state, are simply unacceptable. And if you pass those views on, you cannot take part in civilized society. And what you seem to be saying to me is, no, you don't agree with that.
Well, I think you're again conflating things there. Those are totally unacceptable words, and I've been really, really clear about that. I'm also saying that we need to have a nuanced conversation about what is a genocide and talk about what's actually happening as opposed to the words that people use. Now, do we need to take responsibility for the language we use, for the way we communicate? Absolutely, and myself included.
But what is the responsibility that these people have taken then? They just apologise. Is that taking responsibility?
I think an apology is a responsibility. I also think the very obvious thing in this conversation is Muffin is a Muslim man. And we know that Islamophobia is also on the rise. He also defends people's right to pray and their faith. He put out a statement yesterday about the anti-Semitic attack that I found emotional, I found moving, and connected with me as a Jewish man. I think all of these things can be true at the same time.
You're right.
And I think the base is journalism to try and move it to the most basic context.
And right at the end there, what I love from Zack is he basically called out Justin. He said, look, the media is not really being particularly careful, nuanced about this. They're just trying to make this all a basic thing. Right. Now, I want to jump on what Justin said. He said,
it's like crazy.
There were comments such as, Israel is an animal state. I'm sorry, but when was the last time Israel was a protected characteristic? It's a literal state. I'm sorry, but look, there's one thing that doesn't really exist in politics today. And that is robust debate. It just simply doesn't happen, right? The point of robust debate...
Iran is an animal state. Gaza is an animal state. It's always... I mean... It's not even really a state. Like, Palestine is the recognized state, I guess, so it wouldn't even make sense to say that. Palestine is an animal state. Like, are we seeing this? Are we seeing the problem here? Do we see the issue? I understand you can have whatever intellectualized excuse you want. Yeah, and it's bad when Israel say it too. You can have whatever intellectualized excuse you want to say this shit, but it ain't gonna play. It ain't gonna play. It don't fly. You sound retarded and insane every time.
Is to have big conversations, is to have nuanced conversations, and it's supposed to be provocative. Now, I don't think there's anything particularly offensive by attacking a state, right? It's not a person, it's a state. But once again, the mainstream media is conflating Israel with Jewish people. So if someone says Israel is an animal state, and the context here is they are committing a literal genocide, right? That's now kind of...
Like we can, it's like so easy. You can do this so easily. Just go, Iran is an animal state because of how they treat women and gay people. Zimbabwe is an animal state because of how they treat women. Like, you can just, it's so obvious. Yes, you can have your intellectualized excuse for why you're saying it, but you're still gonna tell literally anyone that has even slight defensiveness of that country or the people that are associated with it. They could be like, whoa, you're like dehumanizing them. You're like dehumanizing them. You're like bigoted. Obviously, that's the response you get, retard. Truly, lefties are like so low IQ sometimes. This channel called Turn Left. You actually have to be so dumb to think Zack Polanski is doing a good job in that interview. Yeah, literally like sucking off Corbyn as well. What do you expect, man? What do you fucking expect?
Synonymous with calling Jewish people animals. They're two different things. If a member of a political...
Dude, Harvey Specter, how, at any point in that, did I say, no one says that about Iran? I never... When did that happen? In fact, just now, someone said, but they do say that. And I said, yeah, I know. It still sounds bad to people who care about the issue. Holy fuck, you people are so dumb. Oh my god. It's like totally unbearable. It's like actually unbearable. How can you be this fucking stupid? We're not making an argument about, oh, is it, you know, fucking inherently wrong to describe a state as animalistic or an animal state? It's not what we're saying. So you're going, didn't they say that about Russia? Meaningless. The attitude towards Russia is totally different. No one likes Russia. No one likes Russians. Everyone hates Russia. Everyone hates Russians. If you say in the UK, Russia is an animal state, they'll be like, yeah, they killed our fucking people. They kill people in our country. Just the other year, and they kill Ukrainians. They slaughter Ukrainians, and they want to take us over. No one will care. Israel. People don't fucking hate Jews, broadly. Okay, there is some anti-Semitism. They don't fucking hate Jews. They don't fucking hate Israelis. They think there's, like, bad stuff happening over there. But they don't literally fucking hate Israelis. So if you say Israel is an animal state, it plays terribly politically. If you say Iran is an animal state, it will play terribly to anyone that remotely cares about Iran. Now, if you say that to reform supporters, they'll fucking love it. They'll fucking love it. Just like if you say Gaza is an animal state to a bunch of Israelis, they'll fucking love it. The argument we're having is not some, like, rules. Oh, you can say it about these countries, but you can't say it about those countries because these are the rules. It's people will fucking hate you and think you're insane if you say Israel is an animal state. That's just where the public's at. Suck it up.
Party calls Jewish people animals, they should be expelled because that is racism. But nobody's saying that. Now, again, you might find calling Israel animalistic offensive, okay, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be allowed in the political discourse. Once again, it's a state. But the thing is, though,
okay, so
imagine,
should you be able to say the N-word in the political landscape? If I join a political party and I'm a deputy leader and I go around screaming, I just walk around in public going, NR, 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 and then they quiz my leader I'm the deputy, and they quiz my leader in a BBC radio interview about it. Is that bad that they're doing that? Is it bad that they're asking the leader about the fact that I went around screaming the N-word hard R? Would it be... let's even make it totally analogous. If I said Iran was an animalistic state or an animal state, and I'm the deputy leader, and they ask my leader about that, is that bad that they ask my leader about that? No, you fucking retard. Obviously not. Dude, this guy's a fucking idiot. These channels suck. Turn Left and Novara Media, these people are actually operating on 75 IQ. It is shameful, truly.
Jewish people animals, they should be expelled because that is racism. But nobody's saying that. Now, again, you might find calling Israel animalistic offensive, okay, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be allowed in the
people would care. Reform supporters wouldn't care. You're fucking retarded if you think Labour supporters, Green supporters, Lib Dem supporters would be okay with someone saying Iran is an animal state. Gaza is an animal state. Palestine is an animal state. Fucking Rwanda is an animal state. Any brown or black people country, they would not be okay with you saying that about.
And it's a state. But the thing is, though, imagine those comments were levied at any other state. Imagine if it was Russia, right? You had someone inside the Labour Party and said, Russia is an animal state. Now, what Putin is doing is disgusting. Guaranteed, no one would bat an eyelid. No.
Okay, we are literally people who say just like totally irrelevant shit. Full-blown 24-hour timeout. I don't know about the UK, but the Iran one is fine in the USA. I know. I'm talking about the UK. And we've been talking about the UK this whole time. I know that any Republican, and even then, Democrats can't really get away with saying that. I know the Republicans get away with saying that.
Think twice. In fact, you'd have pundits in the mainstream media say that with zero pushback. And guess what? I don't think there should be pushback because, once again, Russia isn't a protected characteristic. It's a country. It's a state. So I think if you want to say that Russia is an animalistic state, there's nothing wrong with that.
This is what you can have this opinion. You can have the opinion. I don't see a problem with it. For you to sit here and pretend Zack Polanski has done a good job in an interview handling these questions, you're delusional. You are fucking delusional.
Now, what Putin is doing is disgusting. Guaranteed, no one would bat an eyelid. No one would think twice. In fact, you'd have pundits in the mainstream media say that with zero pushback. And guess what? I don't think there should be pushback because, once again, Russia isn't a protected characteristic. It's a country. It's a state. So I think if you want to say that Russia is an animalistic state, there's nothing wrong with that. But the difference here is you can't say these things about Israel. And once again, the reason why is because there's a mass conflation between Israel and Jewish people, and it's deliberate, right? The reason why it's deliberate is we have people in the media, in political parties, within the British political establishment that do not want you criticizing Israel. And it's very hard to defend a genocidal state. It's very hard to defend a state that's committing ethnic cleansing, famine, and all the atrocities and the war crimes they've done, the breaking of international law pretty much on a daily basis. That's very hard to defend unless you conflate it with Israel and say, you're being anti-Semitic. And it shuts people down. And for too long, we've kind of had people say...
novel takes here on Turn Left. Did you know sometimes people accuse you of anti-Semitism when you're just criticizing Israel? Yep. Thanks, man.
I'll be careful here. Until Zack Polanski. And Zack is masterfully changing the conversation from conflation of Israel and Jewish people to say, look, I want to talk about genocide here. And as a Jewish person, he says this is important because the media completely silences anti-Zionist Jews. And I find it insane that the media are more offended by words than an actual genocide. The BBC has been complicit in Israel's genocide. They've pulled documentaries which have showed the war crimes of Israel. But this is the kind of hit piece which, by the way, is, I think, Islamophobic in nature. I mean, you see a lot of imagery of Mohammed Ali, videos and images.
They have to adhere to their fucking standards board or whatever the fuck. Dude, these people are so lame. These people need to shut the fuck up.
Of him. And you've got commentators
I hate Navarra. I hate this channel.
What is he doing? When he's saying stuff like Ali Akbar, and people go, oh my God, he's a terrorist. And it's like, all it means is like love to God or something, right? it's not nothing controversial. That is inherently Islamophobic, but no one picks up on that. In fact, I want you to do me a favor. Whoever's watching
yes, they do. I swear people call that out all the time. Everyone knows that it's not just a fucking terrorist chant.
Now, anytime you're watching the BBC, corporate media, scrolling through Twitter or social media, and you see something which is attacking a Muslim or Islam, right? And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with attacking a religion, by the way, but just for the example, right? If you see any of this, replace the word Muslim with Jew and see how that looks. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of content which is filming random people, right, who are, doing Muslim prayers. And a lot of people say,
I mean,
oh
this
my God,
is a
we're
fair
being
point.
invaded and taken over. Imagine the same thing, but it was a Jewish person praying. And they said, oh my God, we're being taken over by Jews. Do you think that would be acceptable? No, it wouldn't. It just shows how normalized.
Yep. Everyone agrees Islamophobia is very common.